Hello, viewers. Welcome to Candid Conversations with Ganesh Kuppala, where we go beyond the headlines and talk to audience and talk to our guests about various things community, business, leadership, and much beyond that. Today, I'm really proud to bring one of my guests to you who's going to be the candidate for Labour Party at the Newham Mayoral elections coming up in May. If you're in London or if you're in UK, you know that it's a season for elections and there's so much happening in the country and in London right now. So I thought it is the right time to bring this guest today, Fawad Hussain, who's been a veteran politician. He's been in politics for a good amount of time. He's been a techie and he understands the current world a lot. But yeah, before I get into much further details, let me say hi to Fawad and bring him to you. Hey, Fawad. Good to see you today.
Good to see you.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for coming in. I know it's a working day, difficult for you to get some time. But yeah, before I get started with details into conversation, I would love to understand your beginnings.
Yeah.
How did you come in here? You're one of the immigrants, or like, how did the journey start?
Well, my name's Fawad Hussain, first of all.
Yeah.
My background's Bangladeshi background.
Okay.
Being brought up in Newham, grew up in Newham.
Yeah.
My parents moved into the borough in the 80s.
Uh-huh.
Went to local school in Newham, the local primary school, local secondary school, local college. Went to NewVIc Sixth Form College.
Mhm.
Did some A-levels there. Was fortunate enough to go on to study Aeronautical Engineering at Imperial College from NewVic.
Wow.
And so I've got an engineering background. And naturally, I've always been interested in community
All right.
and giving back to the community. So, and I did a lot of youth work when I graduated. I
Mhm.
became a qualified teacher when I graduated from Imperial,
All right.
and taught in a London school, teaching science. But the key thing is my background is in project management.
Okay.
I've worked in the NHS,
Mhm.
and I've now worked for an engineering consultancy company working on a big infrastructure project.
Okay.
But in between that, I do a lot of community kind of engagement, and I'm involved in politics.
Yeah.
So I used to be a councillor
Mhm.
from 2010 to 2018, a councillor and a cabinet member,
Yeah.
holding a number of portfolios, helping to run the council, and we can maybe talk about that a bit later on.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
But the key thing is that I'm back in politics, standing as Labour Party's mayoral candidate in the 2026 elections.
Brilliant. First of all, congratulations for
Thank
that.
you.
I'm sure it's a difficult journey to get there.
Yeah.
Because for my audience, like, if you're in London, you might be thinking some of the boroughs have ceremonial mayors who are not being elected by the people directly, but rather indirectly by the party or by the councillors. But in Newham, like London, you have directly elected mayor. So do you want to explain how does it different from,
Yeah.
like, then we'll get into the details, but why Newham is different in terms of electoral process?
Most London councils have a leader committee model,
Mhm.
and so the leader works with the councillors and the committee
Yeah.
who run the council. In the case of an executive mayoral system, the executive mayor has the executive decision making and has the overall final decision when it comes to implementation of services.
Mhm.
The mayor does have a cabinet, and the cabinet does consult, and the mayor is meant to work with the cabinet and councillors
Mhm.
in running those services. But overall, it's the executive mayor who has that overall responsibility and is overall responsible for what happens for local services.
And you have the check
in
power as well, like power of writing the checks, the budgets primarily.
And that's right. So it's an equivalent of executive mayor of London, where you've got Sadiq Khan.
Yeah, yeah.
In Newham, you've got a similar model in Newham, where you've got the executive mayoral system.
I got that. That's what I wanted my audience to get it very clearly, because most of my audience lives in different boroughs in London,
That's right.
and they might be thinking, how is it different in Newham compared to other boroughs? For example, Barking and Dagenham, or Redbridge, or Havering, anywhere else, you have this mayoral, like as you rightly mentioned, it's not executive mayor, but it's different, and you have a leader of the house, or leader of the council who actually takes care of a lot of things.
And so in the election,
Mhm.
in Newham, people will be voting for their councillors,
Mhm.
but they will also be voting on another ballot paper for the
mayor,
executive mayor as
which
well.
is different
That's
compared
right.
to other boroughs.
Correct.
Right. Absolutely. Thanks for clarifying that. Now, going back to your personal journey, you worked as a project manager. You mentioned you worked in NHS. You worked as an engineer, and right now you're a consultant as well. How is this professional background that you have is turning into, when you come and look for the politics, council elections? How is it going to help you in terms of, like, is it adding value, or is it like you have to unlearn a lot of things and learn new stuff? How does it journey?
I've always thought when you stand as a councillor or a mayor or an MP, you need to have kind of life experience.
Yeah.
Experience how it is out there in the working world, in the community, and that's what I bring. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a qualified teacher. So I've worked in a school. I've worked in the NHS as a project manager for years. I've worked in infrastructure projects. I've worked in the community. I worked as a councillor. I've run my own business. And I really think those skills and that experience is really important, especially if you're going to make decisions that impact people in the community, in health, in education. You need to know how it is. So when you make those executive decisions,
Especially in the current times.
You need to understand the impact it has.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what I bring to the table here.
Yeah, brilliant.
That's in working life.
That's brilliant. And you also have an experience of becoming a counselor, like 16 years back, 2010.
That's right.
That's what I was at the beginning in intro, guys. I was telling that he's a veteran politician as well. Yeah, I know. We have a lot of other seasoned politicians in Newham. Newham is housed for people like Stephen Timms, who's like there for ages, doing a tremendous amount of work, and Unmesh Desai and all of those people who's been politicians for long term, right? I mean, what is that you have learned being a councillor or cabinet member is actually driving your journey now? So were there any lessons that you learned? Were there any hard lessons? Were there like times where you thought is this the right time for me to do? Because being a techie or a teacher or an entrepreneur, you're probably making a handsome amount of money already. You have a good lifestyle and all. But when it comes to politics, there's a lot of sacrifices. There's, your day starts probably too early as AM and it may go very late. It's different compared to the regular working life. So how was that experience of being councillor, cabinet member made your decision or made you think about electing or going for elections for mayor?
First of all, I've got to say we've got some fantastic MPs and GLA members in Newham. I mean, Stephen Timms is a legend.
He's a legend, yeah.
And he really cares about the community. And we've got James Assa, Uma Kumaran, and we've got, of course, obviously, Umesh Desai, GLA member.
Yeah.
All dedicated people and who are role models in the community for other Labour politicians. I just want to make the point.
Yeah.
I was a councillor from 2010 to 2018, a cabinet member, running a number of portfolios from community safety to being the chair of audit, to being the chair of pensions, commercial opportunities. I also ran the community neighbourhoods, kind of the community engagement portfolio with another colleague. I did that, and yes, it was a 24/7 job. It's because I cared.
Yeah,
I really wanted to give something back. But being a councillor and a cabinet member, you need to get a fine balance because you need to balance home life, social life, work life, as well as political life. I learned that the hard way. I mean, and this time round, so when I'm back into politics, I need to get that good balance. It does take a lot out of you, but I'm passionate about the community, and so that's why I give my time. I did have to kind of take a cut in salary when I went full time when I came out of the NHS into political life.
It's pretty much the same journey because I spoke to, Unmesh was on this podcast before, while he was going for GLA, and I'm glad it worked really well for him. He's one of the very popular leaders in the borough. And now it's a very good segue into my next, question. Now that you're going into Newham elections, you have done things as a councillor, you have done things as a cabinet. How is it going to be different? What's your view right now for Newham? What is that you're going to bring into the table for Newham? Yes, there are a lot of challenges which I'm going to touch upon very soon. But what's your vision? If you want to tell my audience that what is that you are looking at being a mayor, you are elected to be a mayor of Newham. What's that top 3 or top 5 items that you want to shout loud and clear and tell the people?
Now, if I was lucky to be mayor in May, and of course I'm going to win an election, things will be done differently. I mean, I'll be a different type of mayor. My leadership style is very different to my predecessors. I'll be all about collaboration,
Okay.
empowerment, and getting the best out of people, and working as a team to deliver locally when it comes to service. I think what I want to do, and when it comes to my vision about Newham, I want to create a borough and a place in Newham where people can connect, people can grow, and have a sense of belonging. We used to have a strapline: live, work, and stay, and I think we need to move on from that, and we need to have some kind of fluidity in that vision where I want to create a Newham where you've got areas of interest, from public spaces to our parks, to our libraries, to our community centres, where people can come together and learn from each other and connect, socialise.
Okay.
I want to create a borough where we kind of have opportunities for our residents, especially our young people, where they can grow, where they can develop their skills, find jobs, develop their careers. And then I want to bring in investment into the borough and develop the borough where we invest in our communities and where residents and people feel they belong to this area. And they feel proud of the area, and they're proud to say it's their home. So that connection, that growth, and that sense of belonging is really important to me when it comes to the vision. It's clear. I've been talking to residents for a long time now, and the feedback is we need to get the kind of the simple things right. We need
that's brilliant. I think you summarized it really well. But let us get into statistics, right? I mean, Newham is one of those boroughs in London which has tremendous amount of diverse populations. My son goes to Langton. Right. I mean, one of Newham schools, and the number of people I could go and meet in the parent-teacher meetings are tremendous. I mean, different nationalities, a lot of people from different countries. Like you have a lot of European population, a lot of Tamil, like South Indian, South Asian, a lot of population. So how are you going to look at this diverse population and take the strengths from this diversity to make it strong for Newham? Like, what is that going to change when you're here? Like, are you going to look at things like, multicultural centers, or like, what is that? Like, do you have any view of that at all? Like, because Newham does have extensive diversity. And if you have any thoughts around that.
Well, I used to say this. I think I was interviewed by a newspaper once, and I was a councillor in Plaster, and we know that London is the most diverse city in the world.
Yeah, it is.
Newham, over 200 languages spoken, is the most diverse borough in London. And so I used to say the ward that it was the most diverse in Newham, so Plaistow must be the most diverse place in the whole world. But certainly Newham is the most diverse place in the country, with so many people of different backgrounds who've come together. And that's great to see. So firstly, what we need to see is we need to see more representation in politics from the people from different diverse backgrounds. That's really important. I've got a strong team now who come from different diverse backgrounds, and that's good to see. And hopefully, post May, that my team will reflect that diversity. That's really important. But what I'm really keen to see when we come to kind of community delivery, we want to see all our communities coming together and celebrating culture, heritage. We just had Tamil Heritage Month. It's been
you were there
I was
there.
It's been absolutely fantastic to see the kind of community activity that's going on. And I was proud to announce, by the way, if I'm elected in May, that I will recognise Tamil Heritage Month and
You
celebrate
should tell this to audience.
and celebrate that
Yeah,
with the rest of the community.
brilliant.
Because it's fantastic how the Tamil community, especially in East Ham, they're very strong and how they contribute to society in the local area. We need to celebrate that.
Yeah.
And we need to recognise that. And
Brilliant.
so if I'm elected in May, we will have Tamil Heritage Month. And I want to celebrate that in our council activity, in our council buildings, so all communities can kind of embrace.
Brilliant.
It's really important we do that for all communities so people feel at home and have a sense of belonging. And that would be something really important to me, that if I'm mayor, I'm going to be promoting a lot more local delivery and bring communities together for community activity where they can get to know each other, connect, socialise, and understand each other. And that's how you get real community
that'll
cohesion
also-
and integration.
Absolutely. And when
Yeah.
community actually, the reason I'm getting extremely into detail of this
Yeah.
is that, one of the another, I do go campaign sometimes, and the biggest thing that you hear always from the community is top three things. One is, no matter which borough you're campaigning, it's the safety.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge. Unfortunately, that's the story the world is also seeing at the moment. Number two, NHS challenges. It's been the case for a few years, and hopefully things are changing now, but still challenge. And number three is how business and community can come together and make an impact. Because when you look at Newham, you look at Stratford, Westfields type of huge business centers. You have East Ham, you have Plasto, you have tremendous amount of businesses coming. So if we segment this now, let's talk about these three topics very particularly. Number one, on the safety. What's your view on the safety, and what are you going to do? And how are you going to bring community into your vision so that safety is not only a game of bureaucracy? Safety is a game of more, it's not Met Police, it's not council, it's broader than that. I always try to go to the community and say, your safety is actually, yes, it is driven by Met Police, yes, it is driven by the councils, but it's also driven by you.
Yes, that's correct.
So how are you going to take this into this larger community?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I've gone through this exercise of door knocking for the last year, and the feedback. Yes, it's right. One of the main issues is community safety. And one of my pledges on the doorstep is going to be, getting our streets safer.
Okay.
We need safer streets, and we need to do that in a way where it's localized. And so, one of the things that I'm promising is that we're going to have a dedicated enforcement officer in each of our neighbourhood areas.
Okay.
Deal with some of that low-level, working in conjunction with local police and councillors and council officers in dealing with those ASB issues, especially flight. And I want to take a zero-tolerance approach. Now, the reason why I want to take that approach is because, have you heard of the broken window theory? So the broken window theory is, if you don't deal with the low-level crime, the dog mark, the flight, the graffiti. If you don't deal with that now, it grows into bigger things.
It becomes a bigger issue.
It's a bigger issue.
Yeah.
So I'm really keen to deal with those problems and take a zero-tolerance approach in kind of collaboration with the local police, in collaboration with the community. We all need to come together and prioritize those hotspot areas. And so that delivery is going to be localized. We're going to empower people locally through councillors to address those kind of key community safety issues. And it's not just about talking about it, it's all about resolving those issues. Now, there's three ways you can kind of enforce this. It's not all about just finding people, but I do want to take a zero-tolerance approach with fly tipping. But there's two other ways we can do that. We can educate our community. It's really important we can do that. And we also need to engineer out solutions, engineer out the problems. From an engineering background, I know that's really important. So if we've got a problem locally, we need to come together and understand, why is it happening again and again and again? Let's engineer a solution where it doesn't happen. So the council makes savings, the community is happy, and then we can focus our resources and energy on something else, like positive community activity.
And as simple as, sorry to cut you off flow there,
No, that's fine.
but sometimes as simple as having cleaner streets,
Yeah.
cleaner corners. You know, it is in council hands most of the times. Yeah, I know there is other parts of the safety as well, but the more clean the bar is,
Yeah.
the better the community feels. And wherever you have these corners with trees grown extensively, and you cannot see the feel safe. There's a almost an element of doubt in the people. So which is probably, I mean, as simple as that. What I'm trying to say is there are actions that can be done immediately.
Yeah.
There are actions that does take budgets and time, all that stuff. I think you would focus on that.
Yeah, and it's
Smaller
interesting.
things, institutionalizing
Yeah.
things that can make it better for people. Yeah,
It's
please.
interesting you said that because along with the community safety, cleaning up the borough is very important.
Yeah.
We're going to be investing an extra £12 million over the next 4 years
Good to know.
into our services because we need to clean up.
Yeah.
We're going to offer a free bulky waste collection.
Nice.
Again, putting money back into residents' pockets. That will deal with some of the fly tipping issues. But what's really important to me is that I want to clean up the borough because I want people to feel proud of their community areas. And I want them to be and feel confident to invite people and family members to their homes and celebrate the borough.
Yeah.
And I want them to go outside the borough and outside, around London, promoting Newham as a great place. When it comes to a cleaner borough, a safer borough, and just to come in and visit. So it's really important we get those basics right.
Yeah, and I do want to take the words from one of our leaders. They always say that your residents are your biggest ambassadors.
That's right.
If my borough resident goes out and tells that they take care of XYZ things really well, they are your biggest ambassadors.
That's true.
Now let's get into now that we spent time on safety. Now let's get into the second topic that I wanted to definitely discuss with you.
Yeah.
In detail is the business and how you're going to help the small scale MSEs, MAs, or any other businesses, because Newham is a place of a lot of businesses. Yeah. If you walk from the North Street, the High Street, you see 80 restaurants, 80 restaurants in one street, which is crazy, right? I mean, for people. So how are you going to help the businesses? Because they are biggest part of our community.
Yeah, I've got experience of running local businesses, and so I feel passionate about business and entrepreneurship. So I understand how tough it is at the moment. On the high streets. With
the rates,
with the cost of goods. And just with the cost of living, just generally, people are not spending.
Mm-hmm.
It's really important that we help our businesses because they are the backbone of our local economy. They are generating the revenue, obviously, to support the council, but also generating those local jobs for local people. And it's so important that we support our businesses, especially the small ones. There's obviously large businesses we need to support. My angle is, first of all, we need to bring more people in the borough to help our businesses, to utilise the services, purchase the products. And I think what it starts off, and this is just a feedback from the local businesses, because I've met all the various business forums across Newham. The number one issue is parking.
Yeah.
There's not enough kind of spaces of parking for customers to come in from outside the area, utilise those services. One of the things that I'm pledging is that we're going to have a lot more kind of 30-minute bays.
Okay.
Which are free, which will then encourage people to come and utilise the services. Come and have food at a local restaurant, purchase a particular product in one of our local businesses. I think that's really important. Other boroughs have done that, and it's worked really well.
And is that a promise from you?
Yeah, it is a pledge. It is a pledge.
30 minutes,
Yeah.
free parking
Yeah.
in the high streets.
Oh, yes, because that's one of my pledges for parking.
Brilliant.
The first residence parking permit will be free. That will allow residents to park anywhere in the borough for 1 hour for free every day.
Okay.
And I also want to have offer 30-minute bays for people outside the borough to come and utilise our businesses. And I think that's really important because we do that will generate and support our
businesses
our
as well.
businesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's that, but we also need to think about how we invest in our local high streets. And that's in conjunction with bringing investment into the borough and get development, because I think through the Section 106 and SIL money, the money that comes in from investment, I think we need to invest that into our local high street and invest in our public realm. And so make it more welcoming for people to come in and utilize our business. So
That makes a lot of sense.
There's a whole piece of work to be done there.
Because I mean, I've been living in this area for a good amount of time now, and I can vouch for what you're saying, because people from different parts of London comes to Newham. One, because you have a lot of culture here.
Yeah.
Temples, mosques, Westfield. You have one of the biggest parks. You know, we have the Olympic stadiums and all that stuff. And it's an amazing borough, right?
It is.
With the so much of diverse stuff that you can do: sports, community cohesion, culture, everything. Name everything.
So many opportunities.
Yeah, so many opportunities. I think this is one of the best boroughs that you want to do a lot of things. So now, what I want to clearly highlight is, in terms of how you want to. While we talk about businesses in one side, the other side of the spectrum is the people who are struggling in the borough with the cost of living crisis. Right? I mean, it's across London or across the country, but especially in Newham. Do you have any statistics, and how cost of living is impacting, and what's the community view when you go and campaign? What are you listening about, in terms of cost of living as a concept?
So when I door knock, it is the number one issue. After people talking about actually cleaning up the borough and safety, and parking, people are struggling out when it comes to the cost of living. It's a big issue, and that will be one of my priorities, is helping people who are struggling out, especially vulnerable members of the community. That's why my pledges are all about putting money back into residents' pockets. You've got obviously the free parking permit, the bulky waste collection. We've got free school meals that we're offering with the Mayor of London, and the Labour government. I obviously appreciate and understand that as well. And the initiatives that come in when it comes to free breakfast clubs in schools. Everything that we're doing, what a Labour government is doing, and what I want to do as a Labour council, is all about supporting people who are struggling out. It's really important that we support them, especially during these times of needs. It's really important that we build more homes, more social housing to support people who are struggling to get onto the housing ladder. I personally know how difficult that is. I kind of rented for 7 years, and finally we managed to get a house. So, I've lived in overcrowded conditions when I was young, so I know exactly how that is. But it's really important we don't forget that, and that's why everything that I will do, if I'm mayor in May, I will put Newham residents first, and especially our young people, especially people who are from our vulnerable members of the community. And that's really important to me, because we need to address people struggling.
You mentioned about youth multiple times in the conversation, and which is definitely one of the very, very important aspect of the community and society, right? Let's talk about two topics in this. One is schools in Newham. Yes, there are outstanding schools, but are there enough outstanding schools? My question to you. Let me know what your thoughts are. And because as a parent of one of my kid who goes into Newham school, so as I mentioned, my son goes to Langton. I would want it to be outstanding, but are there any gaps in the schooling? Are the schools doing enough? Is it does Mayor has any control in the schools in the borough? Your view on next generation.
I just want to say about our schools in Newham. They're the best in the country.
Brampton Academy.
And that hasn't happened by accident.
Yeah.
That's decades and decades of investment from a Labour council and from a Labour government into our school. And so I'm proud of that, and I want to continue doing that and then supporting our schools. The schools do some really good work in terms of extracurricular activity. I've noticed. And that's where the council can, I think, add value and support. Council delivers youth services, and we've got our youth hubs. That's great, but I think we do a lot more. Schools run extracurricular activities. Our faith organisations run a lot of youth services. Our charities and our third sector. I think where our local authority what can do, we can support these organisations and enhance that kind of youth offer across Newham. And what I'm kind of pledging is, if I'm the mayor in Newham in May, I want to be able to support those organisations and enhance what they do, because I know they do some great things, including in our schools. We've got tens of thousands of young people in our borough, and I want to make sure they are all impacted and they benefit. I'm really keen that happens, but I'm also keen to make sure they are skilled up for the future and for life. And I think they need to prepare and be able to have opportunities where they can develop their career. And that's why I'm really keen to make sure Newham jobs go to Newham residents. And I think,
And is that in your control?
and that's what we can do. We used to have Newham Workplace when I was a councillor and a cabinet member. And as part of the planning process and as part of conversations with developers and investors and the large organisations in our borough, like City Airport, like Excel, there was an agreement that those jobs, we want to be able to offer them to local residents. And we did that. We did that really well. Tens of thousands of people got jobs. I'll tell you a story. I went to City Airport when I was a councillor. And I was flying out to a pension conference. And I was going through security. And someone tapped me on my shoulder. And it was a local resident. And that local resident wanted to say thank you because they had got a job through Newham Workplace at City Airport. And they had recognised me. And they just thanked me because they said, this job now allows me to kind of pay the bills. Develop a career, and feed my children, and it's increased my confidence. That's what we can do, and that's what an executive mayor of Newham can do, and a council is support those businesses, create those local jobs, and make sure they go to local residents, especially our young people. And that's what I want to do if I'm mayor in May.
That's amazing. So, I mean, as you rightly mentioned, Fawad, Newham has tremendous economic potential.
Yes.
But I did my research as well. And if you go back and look at the statistics, Newham does have some really troubling unemployment numbers. While you have two spectrums here, I'm sorry, it may be challenging, the key question for you, but what's your view on this? I mean, did we do enough, or are there any gaps which is actually causing these numbers? Because while you have tremendous amount of economic potential, but you still have a lot of unemployment. So it's not correlating to me, at least when I looked at the numbers. So what's your view on that?
As I mentioned, I do want to kind of bring back Newham Workplace, where we can create jobs for Newham residents. I think, just to address your question, the gap is the skills gap.
Okay.
We need to help prepare our young people for those future jobs when it comes to AI, tech, robotics, I think that's where our partnerships with universities, UEL, they do some great work in the borough, and with our colleges. We need to kind of work with those institutions to skill up our young people so they're prepared for those future jobs. And I think that's a piece of work that the local authority can do in terms of bringing everyone together and to make that happen. And I think that's where that
because this is interconnected, right? I mean, once you have a better employed community, your cost of living will be taken care of.
Sure.
Which will also drive into your safety, because a lot of people who's doing things that they shouldn't be doing probably will be reduced. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, but a bad economy or like low cost of living status causes safety issues as well, which is a reality across the world. I mean, that's what you see, like, third economic countries, whatever you call it as, do face a lot of challenges in safety, primarily because people are not paid enough, right? Various things. Now let's go into the very critical topic of the discussion, right? NHS.
Yes.
So how's Newham based in terms of healthcare? what's your view? I mean, what are you going to do? Why, if you are elected to be a mayor, what's your promise to the community that, how things are going to change under your leadership for health services, NHS, and beyond that?
So I want to say, first of all, the kind of feedback from residents is that a lot of people are frustrated with NHS waiting.
Yeah.
But the Labour government just recently has invested, billions of investment into the NHS, and we've now started seeing waiting times fall. It's a massive achievement. Lots more to do though, but I just want to make that point. And the service delivery is around localized neighborhoods. And so I'm really happy that that's happening, because as mayor, I want to see that in terms of not just local health services, but also the way we deliver community initiatives, the way we deliver other local services. I want to make sure that it's localized and through neighborhoods. So through the NHS, we're going to have neighborhood hubs, and we've got a lot of health preventive initiatives happening in the council at the moment. And I want that to happen through those hubs, but also through our community hubs as well, that I'll be establishing through our libraries and our community centres. I think that's really, really important, that we deal with preventative health issues. There's big issues when it comes to diabetes and heart issues, especially in the ethnic community. But we need to look at preventative initiative before it becomes a big issue, and that will help lessen that pressure when it comes to the NHS. So I think the local
are you suggesting that you're going to have more health camps run by the council? Most of the times what happens is, because the residents had to go through this waiting process.
Yeah.
There's element of, home medicine, all that stuff is coming into picture. And I've been speaking to a lot of residents now, if you're, anyways, if I go to NHS, I have to wait for 6 hours. Then anyways, I get a paracetamol. So it's not going to make a lot of difference.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say this, but this is the feedback I'm hearing from some sections of the community. While I do hear other sections of the community saying great stuff, when it comes to critical care, I think NHS is doing exceptional job. But the problem is the primary health care. When it comes to simple things like, your son or daughter had burnt a hand and you have to wait for 4 hours, that doesn't make any sense. This is one area. But second, preventive measures that you're talking about. Yeah, well, let's go to that. What I'm trying to mention is, are you trying to say that, you will have more access to the healthcare, not only through the hospitals, but more in the libraries, camps, or something of that sort? What I'm
trying to say is that there's a lot of preventative initiatives, especially around education, especially around getting people active, getting people health. We can do that at a local level through our community centres, through our libraries, through events, through our parks.
Yeah.
And we can do that through our NHS hubs. We can also address some of the kind of mental health issues as well. And I think if we do that in partnership with volunteers, the charity sectors, the faith sectors, I think we can lessen that burden on the NHS. And I think that's the model going forward.
I agree with you.
I think that's what we need to start looking at, and I'm really keen to make sure we do that at a local level, because then we can get to the heart of each community.
Absolutely.
And that's really, really important.
Very good. And that brings me to a point to discuss. I think we had one-on-one discussions before on this. You're very active in cricket, and you've been Essex Cricket Community Board as well for some time. So with a lot of our people in the borough or in this East London, we run a cricket charity, big cricket community called Bharat Cricket Community. We have, you've been there.
Yeah.
So 1,000 plus cricketers we have, middle-aged or 40 plus, who's working professionals, who goes to work. There's a lot of stress in the workplaces these days. So we try to steer them through a sport so that, they can build their mental health in a better way, right? What's your vision or what's your view for such community organizations where they're actually doing a lot in the community, but they lack some support, right? For example, I came to you asking for, can you please allot grounds for us?
Yeah.
We don't have a allotted ground, though we have so many cricketers. What's your view on such kind of things? I'm mentioning only one charity name, but there may be many.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know of them. So how are you going to work with them?
So it's not just sport, is it? It's not just cricket.
Yeah.
Although both you and me are very passionate about the sport, and we know how the power of cricket can change lives and improve people's lives, and how sport can do that as well. My approach, if I'm the mayor in May, is it's going to really need to think about how we use our community assets, how we use our land, our parks, our community centres, even our derelict buildings. You know, I believe we need to kind of think about how we can support third sector, faith organisations and charities, see how we can work together and utilise our buildings for good and to run services. So in the example of cricket, you know, how can we establish more cricket clubs in Newham? When I was councillor and a cabinet member for leisure, I had a lot of satisfaction of helping to support Newham Cricket Club, and they've gone on to do some great things in terms of in the Essex League. But that's because there was support from the local community, but also from the council as well. So I want to see how we can utilise our assets to support the third sector and look at how we can offer social rents, and at the same time look at how we can get community benefit. And have a conversation at a local level with local councillors to make that happen. Because what's the point of having an empty building?
Absolutely,
an empty space.
I think that's a very interesting point you're bringing, because like a lot of these community organizations wants to play any sport over the weekends. When it comes to schools, they're anyways unused.
That's right.
And like, for instance, I mean, I'm just taking the example of Langdon because I know the school really well. Huge school. I think one of the biggest schools in the country, like 43 acres. Is that how big it is? It's very big. So they have huge land, but a lot of the space is unused sometimes. So I think, as you rightly mentioned, like the community spaces has to come together and see how we can best utilize. And would you be able to help?
And that's I think the responsibility of a mayor and local politicians as well, is to bring everyone together. And to find solutions to kind of the problems and to create opportunities. And I believe our schools are doing some great things, but we can look at how they can be opened up in the weekends. But that's through conversation.
True.
But I think there's some really good schools who are doing some good outreach, and we can learn from them. But I think that's one way forward. But there's another conversation about using council assets to do that. We've done that well previously. I think we just need to start having those conversations at a local level, post-May, to think about how can we utilise our community assets better for Newham residents and the wider community.
Makes sense. One more topic I wanted to touch base is in terms of how you empower your leadership, like, your local leadership. How many councillors are going for this now? It's like
66.
66, right? So what's your view of, like, I mean, I'm sure you want to have majority of the Labour councillors because you're a Labour candidate, obviously.
I want to win every single award.
I know. Yeah. But what's your view? I mean, how are you going to empower? What's your view for that? Like, do you have any plans, and how are you empowering your councillors?
So as I said earlier, my kind of leadership style is all about empowerment, delegation, getting the best out, and localizing that power, resolving issues, changing lives. What I want to see with local councillors, empowering them to drive that change locally and working with residents. So I've got a model and approach, something which is called the community neighbourhoods, where what I want to see is local members, local councillors being empowered to work with local residents and community to bring about that change. And we can do that across 8 neighbourhood areas where we can really kind of focus on cleansing, which is really important, community safety, and looking at how we can kind of create more community activity, more community cohesion. So I'm really keen to see that, because then if we have that, we have more effective communication with local residents, and we can get that feedback, and we can listen actively, understand what the community is saying, and then respond more
Mm.
effectively.
Mm.
It's all about empowering local councillors to drive that change,
Mm.
to have those conversations. But it's really important that the mayor, and in my case, I'll be a listening mayor, I'll be an empowering mayor, and I'll be a mayor who gets things done. And that's really important.
It is, indeed. I mean, one of the biggest challenges of the boroughs is making sure they're getting approved budgets from the federal system, right? So what's your take on that? I mean, is Newham doing well in getting national priorities and getting enough being allocated to Newham Council? Like, how's your allocations are looking?
So the financial situation is tough, but got a lot to do.
Mm.
I've got experience in local government finances. I was the chair of audit 5 years. I was the chair of pensions, and so that's what I bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
That experience and knowledge, because there's a lot to do there.
Is that diplomacy as well, like, or is it like lobbying? Like, what happens?
So
if you can brief it a little
so
bit.
there is conversations with government, and that's constantly happening. But and I'm glad to say, a Labour government just recently has committed to further funding and supporting councils across the country, including Newham, and we've got quite a large amount of funding. A lot of it is earmarked. It's going to support us in the next few years. I just want to make the point: from 2010 to 2024, the government was taking away money. Now we've got a Labour government investing in local government and local services, and it's so important. We need that support, and that's happening. So we've got an extra 200 million plus over the next few years. A lot of that is earmarked, but that's going to help us to protect frontline services, things like library services, and that's really important to me. We're going to keep our libraries open, and so. But we've got a tough job to do. We've got to find savings. We've got a deficit to kind of fill because we've got pressures from temporary accommodation. So there's a lot of work to be done there. But I'm confident we drive those savings, make those efficiencies, spend the money wisely, protect our frontline services. Post May, if we do that, we then in further years we can start looking about investing in our community. But in the meantime, there's a whole conversation about talking about the private sector and how they can support the community when it comes to development, investment, planning, SIL and Section 106 money. So there's a whole conversation about that.
I think that's very important for us because corporate social responsibility is a key, and the kind of number of organizations that Newham holds. I'm not sure if it's tapped enough. I mean, I'm open for discussion, but is it tapped enough? I think if you become a leader, I think that needs to be really, really drilled into and deep dive into like how the funding from the local businesses are coming up to the council and how it's being reused, as you rightly mentioned, reinvesting into the community and making sure that it's working well for the community. That's a key.
I just want to say I had a breakfast meeting with some really key developers last year, a few months ago. And we had a really fruitful conversation. They've been kind of being put off investing in Newham just recently, but they're ready to come back in and to develop the borough. And I welcome that. I only had one condition, and I told them this: come and invest in our borough, come and develop in our borough. Newham is open, but one condition: put our residents first, put our communities first, invest in our communities. Then I want to work with you. And so they're really keen to do that. And if a mayor, Newham will be open. We need to develop. There needs to be more public-private partnerships. We need to build more homes. It's really important we do that. The Labour government have committed to building 1.5 million homes across the country. I want to help kind of contribute to that. We can only do that with public-private partnerships and bring that investment into the borough.
And if you have to quickly ask you, I mean, you have neighbouring boroughs like Barking and Dagenham, Redbridge, others as well. Are there any learnings that, for example, I'm just taking an example. Barking and Dagenham have got a lot of studios, colleges, all that stuff in the last decade or so. So much has been done. But are there any things that you want to learn from the neighbouring boroughs and bring it to your style, or you think What's your view on that?
I've done a lot of work with neighbouring boroughs, especially with cricket development. That's a whole different podcast.
Yeah.
And so I've got some good relationships with Barking Dagenham, Redbridge, and I think there's a whole piece of work in the future is how can we come together to kind of and learn from each other, you know, and so there's a whole conversation there. I just want to make sure that when it comes to the election coming up, that you want to send that message to residents that it's not just about Newham and making sure Newham residents vote Labour. I want to make sure that they vote Labour across East London and across London, because it's really important that we send that message that, you know, Newham Labour are for the working class, are for residents, and we want to keep the right wing away. We want to keep those parties who divide us, who send that hate. We want to make sure they stay away from East London and from London. It's because I'm really keen to have Labour councils across East London, so I can work with them in collaboration and find kind of ways of working where we can then improve the lives of Newham residents, but also residents across East London.
Great. One last topic I want to touch base again. So how are you going to bring the transparency, trust into the residents in terms of, you know, making sure what the borough and the leadership does is actively watched and listened by the residents? Do you have any plans to bring more transparency? Are you going to come out and speak to residents on regular intervals and tell them what you do, or like social media, or I don't know what the answer is, but what's your view on that?
So I've been going around Newham over the last year and having Q&A sessions with local community groups, faith organisations, and I've really enjoyed talking to them, listening to them. And I want to do more of that. If I'm the mayor in May, I want to have more opportunities like that, like town hall opportunities where people come and ask questions and give feedback.
Yeah, and also you tell what you're doing. Like it's about two-way road,
it's
right?
It's a two-way road, but I really want to be able to listen to residents and understand what they're thinking, and then react and then get things done. I do want to introduce a borough-wide kind of survey where we used to do this every year, independent survey where we can kind of understand what residents are thinking in the different local areas, and that would be really good effect feedback. I also want to make sure when we deliver services, both local councillors and the mayor, we need to have some robust KPIs in some way that we can be measured against. You know, and so, you know, when it comes to a next term, people can measure us and say, right, you're doing a good job, we're going to vote for you, or if not, we're not going to vote for you. So I think that's really important. We need to be measured against that. So I'm keen to do that. But I think when it comes to being open and transparent, we need to be active and out there and in our local communities, continuing to have those conversations post-election. And I think that's really important. And we can do that through our local neighbourhoods, through our public buildings. We need to make sure our councillors are doing their surgeries, they're reacting to residents. There's a whole lot of work we can do there, but I think it's being out there, being active, having those conversations is a starting point.
Absolutely. And I think, we had a lot of topics covered today, and it's amazing conversation. But before we close, I just want to ask you, if there is a resident that is listening to us, undecided, not sure whom to vote for, do you want to do a 30 seconds elevator pitch? Why should they vote for you? You can speak to them,
I know politics is tough at the moment, and trusting politicians and parties is a difficult one. What I'm asking Newham residents for is to trust in me, believe in me. As a Newham resident, as a person who has grown up in this borough, who's been a councillor, who's got experience in running a council, believe in me and trust me that I will continue delivering decades of Labour council services, but we're going to do things different. We're going to put Newham residents first in what we do. We will clean up this borough. We will clean up Newham. We will make the streets safer. We will sort out the parking issue. we will balance the finances.
Brilliant.
We will continue engaging with our residents. So that's why in May, we need your help, we need your support. Go and vote for the Labour Party.
Brilliant. That's a great pitch. And thank you so much, Fawad. And hope you got what I'm not here to advocate for anything specifically, but people heard you. Thank you so much for. I hope the next few years is going to be great for Newham. Thank you so much for taking
Thank
your
you.
time today.
I've had a wonderful time.
Brilliant.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah.